Hi, my name is John Gagne, and I'm the author of Misguided Patriots. You may have seen some of my posts. Hopefully, you're one of my followers. But as I was researching Misguided Patriots, I came across some information that had to do with the GATE program, and I I I didn't really focus on it in the book, but it's really interesting some of the things that I discovered. And I thought since there's so much, I don't know what the word for it is, uh, I thought that since there's so much hysteria maybe about the GATE program, that it could be helpful to people that were in that program to know the real true story about how exactly it originated and what the GATE program was really all about, which for some reason you don't really hear about anywhere on the internet. So I decided to make this little brief video and go through the history of the GATE program for everybody, just so they could have a better understanding of it. It doesn't in any way minimize some of the experiences people might have had. Every program uh, has different abuses and things, and I can't really speak to any experiences that anybody's had, but I do know the history of the program, and I thought that I'd share that. And just to let you know, I'm going to share this in the using the voice of Claude AI program, and I actually did the research myself, but I used Claude to organize the program and write a summary for me, and it's really long. It's like 10 minutes, and I have a hard time reading 10 minutes and doing a good job of it. So I had Claude read it, and I'm going to go ahead and attach that to this video just because he does a better job of reading than I do. And hopefully you guys maybe don't enjoy this, but at least it helps you have a better understanding of the origins of that whole program. So here it goes.
Talent Identification Pipeline, from military psychology to GATE World War II era, 1941-1945. John M. Stolnaker, Ralph Birdie, and Thomas Mayo Magoon all served in specialized military psychology roles during World War II, primarily in the Pacific Theater. This was not frontline combat work. These were personnel psychologists conducting classified military selection, assessment, and talent identification work in the Pacific. Stolnaker worked with the National Research Council and National Defense Research Committee, developing military personnel testing and selection protocols. He received the Navy's Distinguished Civilian Service Award and the Presidential Certificate of Merit for this wartime work. Magoon served with the Army's Specialized Training Program in Personnel Psychology at UC Berkeley, studying psychology with military personnel in the Pacific Theater. Birdie, working at the University of Minnesota, conducted similar specialized psychology and personnel assessment work during the war in the Pacific Theater. All three men, Stolnaker, Birdie, and Magoon, were part of a small, specialized network of psychologists focused on identifying and selecting talent for military and intelligence purposes during wartime. Post-war intelligence transition, 1947. As the Office of Strategic Services folded into the newly created CIA in 1947, this network of military psychologists transitioned into civilian roles that would shape American education for the next 3 decades. University testing infrastructure, 1950 to 1958. Magoon established university testing and counseling centers on college campuses, building systematic data collection and talent ranking infrastructure. These centers tested students on aptitude and matched them to career paths, creating national databases on student populations. During this period, George Gagne studied under Thomas Magoon at the University of Maryland from 1954 to 1958. Writing his doctoral dissertation on aptitude and career path choices of students. Helen Gagne, a CIA officer working on the covert side under Allen Dulles, knew Magoon and was present in this institutional space. This connection, Magoon working with both George and Helen Gagne at the University of Maryland, represents the direct linkage between the university talent identification infrastructure and the CIA. National Merit Scholarship Foundation, 1955. National Merit Scholarship Corporation was established in 1955 with $20 million from the Ford Foundation and $500,000 from the Carnegie Corporation. According to NMSC's own historical records, the organization was created due to Cold War concerns that America was lagging behind the Soviet Union in intellectual talent development. The Foundation's stated mission was to identify and honor scholastically talented American youth. Sandy Aspen, who studied under Magoon at the University of Maryland alongside George Gagne, went to work at the National Merit Scholarship Foundation, bringing the testing and data collection methodology down from universities to the high school level nationwide. National Defense Education Act, 1958. The National Defense Education Act was signed into law on September 2, 1958, in response to the Soviet launch of Sputnik. The Act provided federal funding to improve science, mathematics, and foreign language education, with emphasis on identifying and developing gifted students through testing. Gifted and Talented Education Legislation, 1978. The Gifted and Talented Children's Education Act was signed into law by President Jimmy Carter on November 6, 1978. This act provided federal funding to improve and expand GATE programs in public schools nationwide, making systematic talent identification a public, legislated program at the K through 12 level. Key pattern. The progression moves from classified military personnel psychology during World War II in the Pacific Theater to covert university-level talent identification in the 1950s under figures like Thomas Magoon, to federally funded public school screening programs by 1978. The infrastructure, personnel, and methodology remained consistent across all phases. Systematic identification, ranking, and data collection on student populations for national defense purposes. The pipeline explained. John M. Stolnaker, Ralph Birdie, and Thomas Mayo Magoon represent the core of this talent identification network. All three conducted specialized military psychology work in the Pacific during World War II, not treating trauma or mental illness, but identifying and assessing talent for specialized military and intelligence roles. After the war, when the OSS became the CIA in 1947, this network didn't disappear. It evolved. Stolnaker became the founding president of National Merit Scholarship Foundation in 1955. Birdie established the first university counseling and testing center at the University of Minnesota and became a leading voice in psychology and counseling education. Magoon built the data collection infrastructure on college campuses that would systematically test and rank American students. By 1955, National Merit Scholarship Foundation had taken this methodology to the high school level. By 1958, the National Defense Education Act provided federal funding for the testing apparatus itself. By 1978, GATE legislation brought the entire system into public education as an official program. What started as classified military talent selection in the Pacific became a nationwide civilian system for identifying gifted American youth and directing them toward national defense work, whether in government, intelligence agencies, defense contracting, or research institutions supporting national security. The data collected wasn't just academic aptitude. Psychologists also assessed conduct, personality, psychological resilience, emotional stability, and behavioral patterns. These psychological profiles, combined with academic rankings, created a comprehensive picture of each identified student that went far beyond simple IQ testing. This system operated largely in secrecy from 1947 through 1978. It only became public when GATE legislation required it. But the methodology, the personnel, and the purpose remained constant throughout, identifying the brightest minds in America early and developing them for national defense. The hysteria about MK-Ultra experiments and ESP testing, whether those things happened or not, distracts from the real question. Do you want a national security apparatus systematically identifying and recruiting gifted American children into national defense work without public knowledge or consent? That's the actual issue, not the sensational stories, but the fundamental practice itself. Whether it's patriotic or misguided depends on how you view Cold War priorities and whether you think the ends justify operating outside the law and outside public awareness.